Hello everybody, my name is Evan. You already know who I am because you're watching this channel. I'm here today to break down the final scene in Invicta Collective that I did, and just kind of go through all the sections, show you a little bit of the orchestration, and maybe show you a little bit of different channels, soloed and unsoloed, kind of give you an idea of like what it sounds like in the different sections, of like the woodwinds, brass, and everything like that. So I'm going to play through it one time here, through the whole thing. I apologize for any like crackling or anything like that. I'm kind of like recording this and playing this through the same computer and everything, so the CPU is kind of loaded right now. So it's gonna be having a hard time processing the whole thing while I'm doing this. So yeah, let me go ahead and I'm gonna open up the DAW so you can see it, and then we will take a look at the whole project here. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and play it. All right, and that's that. This is a pretty long queue altogether. It's about 5:30, and it leads on into, hopefully, onto the next episode that hopefully we can get to enough pledges on Kickstarter uh to actually fund the whole show throughout a whole season. Which also, you can check that out. I'm going to put a link in the description if you want to pledge, and we can actually do a whole season of this show if you liked the pilot episode of it. So I'm going to start with the first section here. Unfortunately, I don't have the scene laid out on it right now, just because when I rendered it the last time, I took it out just to make sure it wouldn't interfere with the render. I'm going to kind of tell you what was kind of going on in the scene, and then I'll play the little section and kind of like why I went in that direction with it. So the beginning section is basically they're heading their way back to their base camp. They kind of noticed that something's going wrong. Everything seems kind of like on fire. Everything's in chaos a little bit. So they try to make their way there. And in this beginning part, you can kind of hear the kind of the mystery of it, of like what's going on, and then like the urgency just comes in right after that. And they're starting to run to the camp. And then after that point, they find one of their friends on the ground, basically trying to ask him what's going on. I'm going to play this beginning section just with the strings, just to kind of give you an idea of what I went with here for this beginning here. So, of course, the strings, I went with like a tremolo to kind of like create a little bit of tension in the beginning. And so there, you can also hear a little bit of the main theme in this part. Let me see if I can open it here. Yeah, this bit right here. This is the main melody motif here that I also played towards the end here. I kind of just went with that because, of course, I mean, these are the main characters we're following here, and also this theme right here is was pretty versatile in terms of like how you can change the feel of it. This kind of like was like a good place to put it in to make it feel like it's kind of like a little bit heroic, like they're coming to the rescue, but also at the same time it's like a little bit tense because they don't know what's going on at their camp. And then of course like the spiccato strings here. It just kind of gives it that feel of urgency, and that they're also, you can tell that they're running to the camp just by listening to that little bit of section there. In terms of the orchestration of a lot of this, a lot of these were layered with horns, I believe, here. So the beginning, you can see this is kind of layered a little bit with this, and it also kind of harmonizes it a bit more. This is, you're going to hear a lot of this throughout this thing, is at least three horns, sometimes 6. It just depends on what how I orchestrated it. So if I'm using the horn solos here, in a lot of the sections, I'm trying to split the horns out into a chord. I will use the horn solo to make it seem like there is 3 horns playing all different notes to harmonize But a lot of the time, if it's just like one melody I'm trying to portray, I will use like just the six horns. And there's a couple times when we come up to like this section of the um, kind of like the villain monologue here, that I use just a solo horn by itself, just to give it more of a hollow feel to it. So I'm going to play this with just the horns for the beginning section here. There's not much horns in terms of like the beginning here. As you can see there, when I put that little melody right here in the beginning, I used just the horns for that. And then a little bit later on, I had all the strings do the melody for that. There's not much in terms of woodwinds for this section, I believe. Yeah, if I'm looking at this right, yeah, there's not much here. I just have one clarinet kind of accentuating the, I believe this is the violas here. Yeah, I have the violas and the clarinets basically playing together. Again, it kind of gives it more of a hollow feel, which I'm really a big fan of the sound here. I can actually show you it here real quick. So you'll hear just the violas and the clarinet here. Yeah, so you can kind of see how it kind of gives it more of a hollow characteristic, or adds to the hollowness of a viola. Kind of just adds to like the little bit of hopelessness, I guess is the way to describe that. This little spot here. So I'm going to move on to kind of when they get to the camp here. And I'm going to just play like the strings here, which part of this whole thing, there's a good mix of brass and strings together. This is where the brass would usually play here. And then, so as you can tell also by this whole time, there is basically just a tremolo happening the whole time to just keep the tension in there, as the whole time that he talks. And then it just kind of builds and builds and builds into like the climax of the scene where stuff just starts happening. And then at this part, this is kind of like a little motif I wanted to kind of build and build onto it as it kept going in time. It started with the cellos and the bass, this three note motif here. As it progressed and got more climactic there, I just kind of added octaves and also added some instruments into it to kind of give it more bigger and bigger, like it's growing. And then it kind of just pops at the end, when everything goes down here. You can kind of hear that here with just the strings even. Also, the minor second interval here is really, really nice to have that dark feel. and then that's when, and it just breaks. Somebody gets killed there. I kind of don't want to say, just because hopefully I'm not going to spoil the episode for you if you want to go watch it after this. But that's at point someone dies at that point, and then that's kind of when it starts the whole chaos basically after that, and it kind of builds up from there. And then as you can hear also, as I put in all these other instruments here, like I said, it builds up in the orchestration. Like there's more and more elements coming in as it progresses to kind of make it sound bigger and bigger. All right, then so as you can hear here, you can hear the instruments will just build up and build up. All right, and then coming up in this next section here, this is kind of more of the villain dialogue here, which this right here I kind of wanted to establish as like the theme of this character here, and it is played by, if I remember right, it's a bass clarinet. Yeah, that's right. And I do use the Spitfire audio libraries here. That is what majority of this is here. With a couple of exceptions, I have the BBC Symphony Orchestra in here. And then also I have the Hans Zimmer percussion library in here. Also from Spitfire Audio. Yeah, as you can tell, I'm almost super loyal to Spitfire Audio. I just really like their samples and the versatility of a lot of their libraries. But yeah, this is the line of the bass clarinet here. It sounds very, very menacing and a little bit dark, you know? And then throughout this whole thing, it's building and building, just with a lot of brass in the strings, kind of giving it a motion, not emotion, a motion. Like again, kind of like it's like a constant chugging or going towards even more of the climax that's going to be happening here. And this is cellos and bass playing together in octaves here. And then this here is trombones, the trombone section. This is the trombone section, so I have trombones a 2 patch, which means that there's 2 trombones playing for every note. So in this, there's technically 4 trombones playing. And then I also have the bass trombones playing the bottom root note of these chords. So there's basically four tenor trombones, and then there's 2 bass trombones all playing together to make this chord. All right, and then so I'm sure as you can hear, it comes in right after this section, that's kind of when the action actually starts. Let me go back here a bit. I'm sorry about the random articulation changes here. It's because I have my key changes, not key changes, key switches all at certain points in the track. So that's why when I go back, it doesn't activate them. All right, and then this section here, that's when the action actually starts here. I do kind of put or make another theme for this. This theme here is basically kind of the hero theme a bit. Just because of the kind of like the spiccato here. And as you can tell, of course, like with a lot of action scenes, there's a driving motor like down below in the basses and in the cellos and the brass also. It just kind of keeps it going along, like because of all the the movement and action that's happening in the scene. And then this little bit here, this is kind of like a call and response section here, to kind of give it even more of a, more tension. And what it is, it's going to be, I have trumpets here playing the staccatos of this chord here. Let me see if I can get them. I'm going to get them soloed here. There we go. So that right there, this is the call and response here. And the way that the chords are separated, they're basically only separated by a minor second here. Again, the minor second giving it like a really kind of a intense and suspenseful feel to it. And I don't have the percussion on right now, just because I want to kind of show just the instruments themselves. But at this point, I do use timpanis also. It kind of adds to the momentum of the whole thing. All right, and then so I'm gonna keep it playing here. As you can hear in this section here, this is still when all the action is going on. It kind of just changes throughout the middle to kind of give it more of an urgency, because this is when you can kind of hear Arthur trying to get to the plane and also try to save or help out, I guess, the others that are in the camp. And then I believe this is the area where we kind of... Yeah, so this is the area right here when he comes out and he tries to scramble to help others in the camp here. It kind of gives it more of a even faster motion than it's been going here. as you can also hear here, this is the hero theme again, being played by the strings, and also I got a piccolo up there, and the horns all playing at the same time in different octaves and areas here. And again, it's going to be the violins and the brass that are doing call and response here. This little rhythm section here also was kind of inspired by like John Williams a bit, because during this whole project, John wanted the soundtrack to be very John Williams-esque. So I think I got that through pretty well in this sort of soul section here, and also in other parts of the soundtrack. If you listen to the whole album of the music, or even just the episode itself. All right, and then these little themes right here, as they're kind of climbing every single time. That was kind of added just to make, again, just the climbing sound of it kind of makes more tension happen, because it's like climbing and then it doesn't finish, and then it climbs again, doesn't finish, and then at the end it kind of climbs and then maybe finishes, but then it kind of like crescendos a bit and then goes into something else. All right, and then again, this is still kind of the section where Arthur's trying to help everyone else at the camp. And it kind of switches to... Again, another call and response here. And within this little section here, I also I have like two melodies playing at the same time to kind of give it like a counterpoint a bit, just to make it sound a little bit better, and make it seem like there's more of a flow going on here. Yeah, so as you can see, the horns are playing down here, which is a 6-section horns. They're playing down here, and then up here is the actual other counterpoint melody that's happening on top of it while this is playing as well. As you could tell, I'm playing all of this without the percussion on. All right, and then this is the section where they're trying to leave, and it's kind of where like the tension just really just builds up to the highest point, and it's mainly the strings up here that's conveying that here, with the constant movement here. And then it builds up, and then there's kind of a triumphant success, that they basically made it out. And again, I wanted to use the main theme again because, you know, these are our heroes basically that are that's basically succeeded. So it's using the main theme, but it's reharmonized from the main theme, and giant chords here also playing underneath, to accentuate the harmonization of it, which most of it is, there's a big brass section here, and also the strings that's playing. I'm gonna play it without the melody playing on top here, and I will play it with just the brass sections here. I know doing this, I'm super unorganized when it comes to putting tracks down and all that stuff, so I have to mute every single thing individually. I'm gonna turn these trumpets off here. And again, just like the last time I was talking about the trombone section, um, it's the same thing. It's the four trombones basically playing, and then also the bass trombones playing the root note here. And then we also have the tuba playing way down here. And then also trimbassi, which just playing down there also in octaves with the tuba. Also, one thing I just now realized is that I have the choir off also, which I've had for a couple of sections in here. The choir isn't in here all that often. But it's kind of there just to kind of give it more of a grandiose feel, to the whole thing. So I do believe I do have the choir on for this section here. And they are basically singing the harmonization and the main melody as well. And of course, when you add all the strings and everything back in, I apologize again, the crackling, because again, I'm recording this, and also my computer's not the most powerful thing in the world, so it takes a lot of processing power for it to play everything live, so. Okay, so And then on top of that, I did also add percussion to kind of just give it an accent every single chord that plays, just to kind of give more of a, again, even more grandiose here, along with like cymbals. Right, and then it kind of winds down here after that into just, it just kind of winds down into kind of like a relief of not that they're free, or that they've escaped or whatever. And then as they're escaping, there's still kind of a, and then as they're escaping, they kind of go into a conversation about what just happened and why they were attacked and all that. And as they're trying to escape, they're also trying to dodge the people that are also chasing them as well. And this kind of conveys that a bit, while also trying to weave in a little bit of like the conversation that they're actually having. That little break right there is basically them talking about the person they just lost. And I kind of wanted to make it just like a tiny little section, just, you know, of emotion while they were talking about him. This is mainly just strings. There's not really any brass here or woodwinds. Just playing these chords here. And I do have the choir basically just layering with the strings also, which I'm going to show you just the strings here. And then adding on the choir to that kind of just adds more of a liveliness to it. That's the right word to use. As you can hear, they're kind of just in the background, being a bed for the strings. It kind of adds really like a really nice emotional feel to it. All right, and then in this upcoming section here, it's going to kind of build up into basically this conversation that they're having about the villain here, about his motivation and why it was happening. Which that motif that was in the beginning when he was in the scene shows up again here, but it's differently harmonized and also has a bit more going on with it here. So let me play that. I'm going to play it with, again, I'll play it with just the strings, brass, and woodwind, no percussion here. And I think it's safe to say this is basically the villain's theme here, along with the bass clarinet line that I had showed you earlier. This also has a call and response coming to it as well. After it plays this little bit here. This melody line kind of just adds a little bit of mystery to what's going on. So it's basically that on top of that. All right, and then after that, it crescendos, and then this is going on into the end of the episode, which you can feel the tension rising, and you can feel it like just again, it just holds at the end because you don't know what's going to be happening next in the next episode, and it kind of leaves off on this cliffhanger at the end, which is why this kind of just builds up, and then just holds with the trills at the end. Just kind of doing minor seconds. These are all in octaves, by the way. The only time that it comes in as a chord is when I add the bass in here. And it adds a fifth. And that is a whole bunch of, again, like I said, trills in the minor second. I got the flutes doing trills here, that you can hear. And then also the violins, violin twos. Which actually this is tremolos. It adds to the trills, makes it a little bit more dissonant to me. And then on top, we've got more strings here. Which again adds a lot to the tension of it here. And I believe the violas are doing trills here as well. Oh, tremolos, okay. Now, as you can hear, the cellos and also the basses are doing the minor second interval here. You know what's funny about this is basically like the opposite of the Jaws theme. Instead of going da da, it goes da 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 da. So again, the minor second just adding a whole bunch of menacing little bits to it. And then we also have the brass here, the brass section. And so this whole thing here, this has got to be one of the longest tracks I've ever done for like any piece of media. It was definitely one of the new challenges for me to do this. And I appreciate that John actually had this scene in here because it kind of helped me build my skills on doing scenes like this. Like I'm not a huge or I'm not really that great at doing like action scenes or anything like that. But this kind of gave me or taught me a bit on how to do it and good chords and stuff like that to use for action scenes to add tension and stuff like that. And so, like I said, this is probably the longest cue I've ever done. It's 5 minutes, 30 seconds. Definitely has to be the longest ones I've ever worked on. in general. I think myself. I think I did great on it. I think myself. I'm trying not to get a big head about it, but I think I did pretty great on this, and I'm hoping if we're able to do the the Kickstarter campaign for the next episode, the whole season, basically. I'm very excited to actually do more scenes like this, and also just be adding more emotion and character to the audio drama, and then also basically honing my skills as we go. I started doing composing in 2017, so that's what is that for? 17, 18, 19, 20. Still got to use my fingers to count, by the way. 7 years since I started doing this. Doing the Uncharted thing, that was just a great step in this direction with John, and then also doing this on top of that. I think it's just been a really fun experience to be doing this. My skills have definitely gotten better from what I've seen in my old music, which, by the way, a lot of people I think they like my old stuff, but I'm like, you like my old stuff? I'm not a huge fan of my old stuff, not at all. I'm more of like, yeah, if the newer stuff is definitely like the ones that I'm liking more. But I mean, it's it's music, so it's subjective. Whoever likes whatever, but I just like seeing the growth in my own work. But anyway, yeah, so you guys should definitely check out the Invicta Collective, the first episode, and also check out the Kickstarter that I'm gonna put in the description. Pledge whatever you can if you want to see more of it, and it is ending on the end of November, I believe. So, and if it's not funded by then, who knows where it's gonna go? But outside of that, it's been great doing this, and I appreciate you guys watching. I appreciate you guys subscribing, listening to my music and everything. If you have any questions or anything regarding this or like my process or anything like that, you can leave a comment down below, and also let me know if you guys want to see even more of these kinds of videos. Even also how I can improve these kinds of videos, because I barely ever do this. As you know, I've only done one other breakdown video, but I don't want to know a better way that I can break this stuff down without kind of just flying through it here, which we kind of did with this one. But I think we got quite a bit of the sections down and kind of what my intentions were, I guess, with the track. Yeah, let me know what you think could be better when I'm doing these videos. And again, thank you very much for watching, and do please check out the Kickstarter for this show. And you guys have a good one, okay?